MYDAYPROJECT.
Currently on sale on the internet, the number of consumers of this human semiconductor has found an affirmative response from the markets and no major controversy from governments. In this investigation I will show what a chip can do under the skin and what it hides. We are still in time before it is too late to say no to the chip, as it is being considered to insert it as an obligation for those who intend to travel. The first step according to the research carried out will be replace the electronic passport with the microchip. That opens a chasm of fears, and as much as I'm sorry to say, some of these fears are well-founded. The microchip can be implanted in the hand for a matter of practicality, can contain documentation data such as driver's license and passport, credit card details, and practice will be linked your body to your bank account. Penal pending, car opening codes, home, alarms, and passwords of electronic devices such as smartphones, computer, online subscriptions and built-in GPS. It is the size of a safety pin and is about 0.5 millimeter thick. It consists of an integrated circuit and a metal sheath that acts as an antenna, enclosed in an airtight casing made of a biopolymer created in the laboratories of Vivoki Technologies, a Seattle-based company. The biopolymer that is used in the device is the same medical plastic used in the production of ear implants or pacemakers. To have it implanted under the skin it takes about 20 minutes and a specialized doctor. The procedure is simple and completely painless, assures the company. The plant is currently available in 160 countries around the world, including Italy, only for adult citizens in Italy. New partnerships have recently been launched with the country's banks for production and distribution. Usually science fiction is still inspired by reality. Not in this case, you will say, as the first chip built by a research started by the researcher Paprotafor being inspired by a fantasy book, a Polish science fiction novel in which a person opens a door using a smart chip embedded in his hand. After a first positive test in the laboratories of Vivoki Technologies in Seattle, the first company was founded. Waldemar, a collaborator of the company, declares that it has already sold 800 implants in just over a year, at a cost of €199, and that it has a network of affiliated doctors able to perform the procedure professionally and safely. Implants are shipped in sterile containers filled with an antiseptic solution used in surgical procedures. Until now, no one had ever produced a secure and accepted payment facility worldwide. It is emphasized by the same production company that the chip under the skin meets ISO 10993 biocompatibility standards. It must be replaced every 8 years. It's much longer lasting than any credit card that probably every one of us has lost at least once. According to the parent company, the plant cannot be stolen or taken away. Even if its owner is sleeping, is intent on celebrating, it can't be lost either. The chip to work creates a small magnetic field from which the NFC implant. Its role is to store a small amount of data for the time necessary to confirm the transaction. Then a statement was made that in the opinion of the public is really questionable. No one can be traced or identified through the chip under the skin. And it is here that doubts and ethical problems of the chip under the skin issue fall. Is it really worth undergoing a small surgery to unlock your phone, computer, car and other personal devices? Several serious scientific research has shown that the plant is biologically safe. The only problem is only the ethical one. Although the microchip complies with all the controls imposed by the American FDA, we usually consider similar interventions for heart implants or ear injuries, teeth and knees acceptable, and it would seem that the approach is the same. But the chip under the skin is not a medical necessity. If anything, I have one in my hand, and because I will have been forced to do so, no one will ever come to point a weapon at you to implant the chip. But some lenders are beginning to plan in perspective to make obsolete the use of credit cards, probably, and I hope it never happens. The government could decide that the passport is subject to theft, the chip no. And finally, there are already thousands of businesses that do not accept cash, and God forbid that they do not even accept credit cards anymore, or you will have to shop with a microchip. I repeat, for now our only questions that arise and solve the commercial application factor remains the issue of privacy. I created this article from my morbid curiosity. For example, A handshake is not a friendly gesture. We just mentioned that the chip can contain a small magnetic field that acts as a reader. What if I implanted a chip in my hand that acts as a receiver? Of course not. Surely they have already thought about it. But do you see, we know that it is possible to clone data from a computer, from a smartphone, even from an entire server. And do you really believe that it is not possible to clone data from a semiconductor just because it is located between a bone and a nerve? Think about it for a moment. In a previous report I talked about the robots for military use produced by Boston Dynamics, who would forbid the manufacturer of the robot soldiers the insertion of scanning scanners reading. Many would say, but a government-controlled robot would not steal your credit card information while reading historical, health, financial, and criminal data. You think is right? I can't say if the mere existence of the chip takes away from the execution of a new world order. And I don't want to go so far as to say that it is necessarily a form of conspiracy, but the desire to put a human being's entire life into a chip and then put it in his skin could and will have repercussions on individual freedom. And now I'm going to show you how. Suppose you live in the city of Rome. In Rome there are 3,222 active cameras, connected to storage servers. Only some of these also have the ability to store audio. How long do you think it takes to add radio wave players to the existing cameras? It is true in the indications of the microchips written that it works by bringing the hand 2 centimeters from the reader, so you think you are safe. But the radio wave reader does not necessarily have to stay beyond the height of the cathedral. I repeat, it is only a reflection. After all, when a new technology is born it is right to have some doubts, only that this given technology has something invasive. I reiterate that at the moment the plant is optional, and I am not even worried about the fact that big brands such as PayPal, Vodafone and Telecom are working to insert the payment option through microchip. What worries me is the statement of the European Commission, which has proposed approval and obligation for the inclusion of the chip to the countries of Europe. Of course it is only a proposal, and to use simplistic terms, I would like to ask the European Commission, but what does the brain tell you? Then I realize that Europe is working in the wake of the model outlined by the American government that is strongly in favor of the spread of chips, although nothing obligatory has been included in the obligations of the Americans, and at the moment not even that of the Europeans. In Italy the proposal was embraced by Matteo Renzi, who fortunately clashed with those in Italy who have not yet lost their senses, and perhaps realizes that inserting a radio frequency identification device has integrated circuits or RFID transponders encapsulated in a casing in the human body may not be such a brilliant idea. The first reason is this: if you implant in the skin a database containing personal identification data, medical and health data, medical care, allergies, and contact information, you make yourself subject to attacks by a new generation of hackers and scanners designed to be pointed directly at the human body, a scene that we have already suffered during the era of COVID, only that those scanners had to tell us the temperature of the body. The new scanners will tell you who you are, where you were born, what you do in life, how many times have you been to the hospital, in the bank, if you have paid taxes, if you have gone red, and probably if you have been to the bathroom. To all this add the fact that you will be tracked in real time with precision to the centimeter. The movements will be collected and stored, a useful thing if you want to control the movements of a criminal or a subject catalogued as a risk to the community. But a student, a worker, what need is there to trace it? The European community informs that in case of crime the agents will be able to know exactly who are responsible and innocent, asking the data control center to provide the necessary in real time. But to do so they will have to track everyone independently, whether it is a serial killer or my dog. The European Commission placed the emphasis on lonely people. In fact, it seems that there is the possibility, through a certain command, to immediately call an ambulance in case of sudden illness. This could definitely save some lives. But is it worth losing our privacy to do this? What I would like to emphasize is not the intrinsic evil in the basic idea but in the use that follows. We are at the usual story of the knife dealer. It is not guilty of having sold the knife, but the final buyer could decide to use that knife to cut bread or to hurt others. And in the case of the chip under the skin, if it became mandatory, it would be equivalent to a knife pointed straight at the throat. Jacques Pra copyright Vert Univolta says, when truth is not free, truth is not true. Write me in the comments or in the forum of the site, what do you really think? Would you spontaneously implant the chip? Have you already done so? Do you agree with the position taken by the European community?